Hello, everyone. Getting back to zero. I'm Jeff, and holidays are coming on. I just survived the weekend with my wife out of town, which almost 2 years ago did not go so well. So thanks for everyone that let me call on them to be accountability to get me through it, and everyone that took my phone calls and everyone that called me. I appreciate that. But that's I know that this sobriety gig is definitely a we proposition. I learned that the hard way, and it wasn't until I turned an I into a we that I started getting the success. So it's good to be here. I like I said, I got through the weekend, so all is really good. But today is Mom's Day. We got the holidays coming up. We've talked about it on some previous, but the pressures of being a mom through the holidays have to be brutal. Not as tough as being a man, of course, as we all know. To have to drive my wife to the hospital for the birth of our 4 kids, have to go to Kroger to pick up the diapers for her. All those things are just hugely traumatic events, but I'm willing to do my load like that. So anyways, I've got 2 fantastics. We have Lindy back. Hey, how are you doing?
Pretty good. Thanks for having me back.
Oh, I'm thrilled. And we have a first time on the show, Carrie from up north in Michigan. How you doing?
I'm good. Thank you for having me.
Huge Wolverine fan. Now, we were hoping this would go well, but Carrie informed us that she is sitting in the back seat of a cruiser. Is that what you said? Which is not a good look typically. Is that correct?
Something like that. Yeah.
Back seat of a car, just trying to get. Speaking of being a mom and getting privacy from the kids, we have to go out and hide in the car. So, so both of you, we've heard a little bit of your stories, Carrie. We haven't heard on this show so much, but how many children do you have?
I have 2 girls.
2 girls, okay. And Lindy, you have 5? 4?
5.
5,
girls.
okay.
Yeah, 3 girls, 2 boys.
So the holidays are brutal. I know that, but I want to just jump right in because we all have to stay sober through these holidays that are coming up. But more importantly, I want to smile through these holidays. I don't want to just survive them. I want to, and I don't want to give so much and just let everyone else enjoy them. I want to enjoy them myself. So we're trying to find that balance. And I think, Lindy, you had mentioned one time about taking care of ourselves, and we're going to get into that. But I'm just going to go right into and get this thing started. And whoever wants to go in, this is just kind of round robin discussion. But if you 2 are like my wife, your goal was to be a mom. You know, I think in that I assume that's the case. You achieve that goal. You have these kids. Why? And I don't know if we have answered this. Why the need to drink if everything is a perfect world for you? What got you here, I guess?
Wow. Well, perfect world is subjective.
Yeah, exactly. I've yet to find it, but you know what I'm saying.
Right. I think for me, it wasn't my home life that was the impetus to my drinking just exploding. It was a lot of external professional stuff. I will say that like the mommy wine culture definitely had me on a slippery slope for a while. It was the way to bond with other moms. I remember posting on my Facebook this wonderful bottle of really cheap, crappy wine, but it was called Mommy's Time Out. And I thought it was just the funniest thing ever. So it wasn't, my drinking had nothing to do with being a mom other than it made me a pretty awful one sometimes. But I think for a lot of moms, that is the way that you socialize and bond with the people who are going through the same things as you are. So that was that was definitely a contributing factor for me, was just the social aspect of it. You know, when I'm not hiding in the backseat of my car, if I want to socialize with other people, it loosened me up to be able to talk about the things that were going on.
You know, they had you two are probably both too young to remember this or to have seen it, but they used to have Calgon, which I think was a soap.
Mhm.
That
Mhm.
Calgon Take Me Away, um, that Calgon moment, and it was I assume a mom in the commercials. I need to look it up, but she's in the tub, Calgon Take Me Away, and it was finally I can get that that release.
Yep.
And
Mhm.
now the marketing is wine Take Me Away.
Mhm.
You know,
Mhm.
and it's almost no one hears, you know, you don't have you know, the norm. That is the answer. And I wonder how much of it, like Carrie, you said you posted that picture, was some of that I want to fit in with the other moms, so therefore to be in the club, maybe that we see as the club is to drink, and that's what gets us started in it.
I think so. I mean, I still deal with finding a place to fit in with groups of moms as a person who doesn't drink now,
Mhm.
because the that is the focus of a lot of get-togethers. It's the nights out without the kids, you go to the wine bar. The nights where you have the kids, you get them all together and the kids, you know, pop in a movie and then you sit and drink a bottle or two of wine. And it's, for me, that was really great when I was drinking, because it was one of the few times where I didn't have to hide
Mhm.
how much I was drinking, because everybody was on the same playing field as I was. They weren't doing it
Do
alone
you
in their
feel
basements that I knew of.
do you feel completely alone that you're the only one, the only mom that doesn't in those situations when you're not drinking?
In the specific group that I would be socializing with now, absolutely. But that's why I just go to meetings and talk to moms there now.
Mhm.
Mhm.
No, it is that feeling of alone. Lindy, what was your situation?
Um, so mine was a little different in that I my, so I want to be very careful to never say that it was because of my kids, because it's not their fault at all. But it was this anxiety. It was the anxiety driven, and you know, I think I didn't realize, like, I had my first baby and I was like, "Oh my goodness, I need to keep this human alive. I need to, if she's sick, I need to take care of her." And just the panic and anxiety of it all, it became became my escape,
Mhm.
and my numbing out and my it I thought that it was alleviating my worry. Like I spent my whole day worried sick about things, and then that was my reward at the end of it. Obviously, I know now that that's completely wrong. And I did have, you know, a couple of really good friendships that's what we did. You know, we hung out, and in fact, my backyard neighbor, best friend, and um, I was just talking to my husband the other day and I said, you know, one of the things that held me back for so long from stopping was that I didn't want to lose that friendship, that fun friendship. It was like, she's become my best friend. This is so wonderful. And what I've learned is that we're still friends. Yes, we don't hang out quite as much, but I've put the work into myself. I don't feel like I need to hang out with her that much anymore. I don't need that because I've worked on myself. And so, yeah, it was more of an anxiety thing. I didn't go out that much at all. I was more of a drinker at home. Um, so yeah, some friendships we don't do as much together, but it's been okay.
I see, you know, watching my wife raise our kids and watching my daughter raise her three. and it's exhausting for me to watch. And I just wonder the need that you have to just to catch my breath, because like you said, Lindy, I got to care for this baby. That's a hell of a lot of responsibility. You just added that on your shoulder, but to be able to just take all of that off and just let my body relax, and shut my mind off and let everything just catch its, let me catch my breath before I start back to work. I mean, I totally feel where that would be, I deserve it. I have been running these kids around. I've been doing, crazy. Did you see what they did at breakfast? Whatever. I've earned this Calgon moment via the wine. And, my problem is a beer versus Calgon bath soap. Okay, one, yeah, that's nice, and the other one really works. Sadly, it's like, oh my goodness, how did I didn't realize that just a little bit of soap in this tub, it gives me exactly the same enjoyment and that I get from drinking, a bottle or two of wine or a case of beer in my case, my situation. And that's the thing. I always hated in recovery when people would offer the alternatives. Jeff, just sit down and relax with a book. Oh yeah, that's perfect. Why did I not think of that? That's exactly going to give me. So there's a little bit of a struggle I have with the solutions. And that's why I got to look at the negatives. It's not just what I'm getting from doing it the right way. It's what I'm no longer having to live with. Right. I'm the thing I'm getting is the freedom from all the crap that the drinking brought with it. And that sometimes is tough to so I'll jump back with you, Carrie. How long have you been sober now? You're just over a year, is that correct?
I hit a year on October 22nd. So whatever, how many days is that? I don't know, 370 something, 380.
A hell of a lot when you think about, and that
seemed impossible for sure.
I couldn't, when I was trying to quit, I tried I'll just drink on the weekends. Well, I couldn't even get a 1 day on Monday. I couldn't, that was just to get 1 day. Getting 2 days is easier than getting 1 day. And getting 377 from 376 is easier from going to 0 to 1. I mean, that first day, I failed a zillion times trying to get that. But I'd like to know what changed for you, Carrie, because I assume that wasn't that you were the day before said, oh my God, I think I'm going to stop drinking. And that was it. One attempt and you were done.
No.
What made it different this time for you?
For probably the last couple years of my drinking, I knew that it had crossed a line. But I kept justifying it. It was I'm really stressed. We have all these things going wrong. Now there's a pandemic. I'll stop drinking when the pandemic's over. Though there was always some other reason for me to quit later. But I got to the point where I started attending meetings and I started sharing, and all of these things that I thought were so horrible and humiliating and awful, and words that I could never say to anybody because, oh my God, they would hate me. I was saying it to 100 to 200 people, and people were just loving me, even though I felt like I was just a piece of shit. And so it really started to click in my head, the things that I was doing, the lengths that I was going to drink. And I saw it in a different light. It wasn't the hatred of myself where I was just like, God, I can't quit. What is wrong with me? I just started to see that I wasn't alone. I wasn't the only person struggling with this. And there was just a day where I went into the liquor store, and the lengths that I went to be able to go into that store were so absurd to me that I just thought, I can't do this anymore. Something has to change. And I still don't really know why that day one was the day one where everything just made sense. But
Take it, run,
yeah, I'm not gonna think too hard about it at this point, but it was definitely, there just came a point where I knew that if I didn't stop, I was gonna die.
Lindy, did you have reasons looking back that kept you from either A, starting, B, staying with it, or I guess more importantly, making that commitment?
Reasons that
examples. The word alcoholic is a huge. I don't want to say that word. I hate the word now. It's an abrasive,
right.
Not a fun word.
Yeah, and what kept me from it for so long was just this fear that I was going to just become this like unhappy walking mom zombie all the time, and like just turn into some kind of bear that nobody wants to be around, because like in my mind, alcohol was my happy juice. I thought that's what was making me happy. I thought that that's what was making me fun to my kids instead of an impatient, overtired mom. And yes, the alcoholic thing bothered me, but I honestly it wasn't until even into my sobriety that I came to terms that I used that term. But I do feel like now, as much as I still don't love it, I mean, I do AA. I don't love, I'll be honest, I really don't love that I have to say, hi, I'm Lindy, I'm an alcoholic. I don't like that. But
do you believe it?
I believe that I had a very unhealthy relationship with alcohol. And yes, I guess what's hard is when I think of alcoholic, I think of somebody who has to have a drink in the morning because they physically need it, or they will have withdrawal symptoms or something. And I never did. And I guess I know that I cannot drink alcohol. So I guess it depends on how you define alcoholic. But I don't love that term. I say it. I know that I can't drink it. I know that I know that. Yeah, I don't know. That's a tough one. I'm sorry. It's a tough one because I feel like I just read something the other day that, yes, I had a problem with alcohol. And if I picked it up again and drank, I would have a problem with alcohol. Do I have a problem with it right now? It's not a part of my life at all. And I do feel like I'm thriving in sobriety right now. But I also know that at any corner I turn, it could be there staring me in the face, and it could become a problem again. So I don't know.
Alcoholic is such a rock bottom term. I would like to think I'm above it, that I just abused alcohol. And, there's going to be, what came first, the chicken or the egg? You're going to get, people aren't going to change on the opinion. It's going to be 50-50 on that. And I guess I don't really care what your definition is, because all I know is that, Jeff, I can't drink. If I drink alcohol, I can't do it like I want to do it, drink it without it causing massive problems. And if I drink it like a normal person does, I'm going to be miserable. So me and alcohol don't mix.
Right. And I guess part of what I've been like stewing on for because this has just been, I don't know, the last couple of weeks that it's just been on my mind a lot, is that if if that's what I need to do to stay sober, is call myself that, then, and I've been sober for over a year now too, and I feel like I'm doing really well, but I remember how daunting it was to be told that I had to say that, you know? So if that's what I need to do, then I want to make it my mission to help others in my position feel okay about it and see that an alcoholic, there is not one definition of an alcoholic, and that, to kind of erase some of the shame around it, because I truly feel like there are a lot of people who don't stop drinking because they don't want that label of shame. They don't want that. They don't want people to immediately pity them. And I've told a lot of my friends, I'm like, after they read because I put it out of my blog, my sobriety story, and I said, please don't pity me. I'm happy. If you want to pity anybody, you can pity the old version of me that you had no clue how anxiety ridden and horrible I was feeling. So you can pity that version of me, but please don't pity this Lindy now, because this is the best version of me. And I really think that, I really just think it's the shame and the stigma around that term alcoholic that a lot of people, they don't want to go down that path. They don't want to be labeled that the rest of their lives. And that's a tough thing.
Carrie, are you an AAer?
No.
No? Okay, well, one of the things, and I don't know if this is across the board, but acceptance. I have to accept, and even in like TLC, we say the 9 things. This is my, deal. This is my problem. I have to fix this thing. But so there's self-acceptance, but to say the terms I'm an alcoholic, is that self-acceptance, or is that, because you guys were talking about taking care of ourselves and self-love and nurturing ourselves, which I want to get more into, but is that term acceptance, or is that beating the living crap out of us and just kicking ourselves, when we're down? No, whoever. I mean, I think it's a little bit, I have to accept my situation, but to say it is is that helping me by saying, I'm Jeff, I'm an alcoholic? Yeah, maybe I'm accepting what the situation is, but I'm not building myself up or making myself feel better about what I am or the situation by saying that.
I think, because my wheels have been turning a lot lately. I also, in college, I had an eating disorder, but I don't say, now it's changed to disordered eating. Instead of saying I was an anorexic, I had disordered eating. And, being an educator or a former educator, we learned that with a child who has special needs, they are a child first. So they're not an autistic child. They are a child who has autism. So I think that that's where, we're trying to build people up in the self-love. I think that that's just where I struggle with the word alcoholic, because I do have a problem with alcohol, but I'm Lindy. I'm not Lindy the alcoholic. I'm Lindy, and I struggle with alcohol. And so, I mean, my sponsor's probably going to watch this and give me a good kick in the, so, and I get that, but I can't help how I feel. And
that's and we got to work through. That's being honest, is, Carrie, I had a good question for you about the self-acceptance with the label. I lost it now. Darn it. Yeah, it was, Lindy, I had the point and I didn't. No, but one of the things, and Carrie, I want to talk more on, but is tough love, because I think when I finally took this serious was when my wife said, I'm done. It's not on me. I'm not making this decision. If you want to stay in this marriage and stay a part of this family, then you take care of this. If not, that's fine. but you're not going to be here. I don't want you. It's not going to be a part of my life. And that sucked because suddenly it was all on me.
Mm-hmm.
And I worry about the coddling a little bit, that sometimes, we're so supportive of each other, so I know what I was going to ask you, Carrie, is your situation, is it your fault or is it the fault of alcohol?
Oh, I think it was my fault. I think when it comes down to it, the marketing, there are lots and lots of things that have catchy marketing and romantic notions that I did not struggle with. I think that I just, at some point, and I don't know when it switched from being the casual drinks every couple weekends to every single night. It was something I had to have. But at some point, I am the one who chose to check out of my life. And so I think for me specifically, that was a vital part of me realizing that not only am I responsible for how far I've gotten, but I've got to be responsible for getting myself out of it. I dug the hole. I've got to be the one to climb out of it.
What do you say to the person that says, you know what, it's how my body reacts. It's not me. Other people, they don't have a problem. When I drink alcohol, the alcohol messes with me. And I don't know if they say that it's not my fault, but they blame it on alcohol and this is where you can get in that discussion. I remember with a doctor I had for years, I need to probably go back and apologize because I literally said, cancer is something you don't have a choice over. Little Johnny down the street doesn't go to the store and say, hey, can I get a 6-pack of cancer and choose to drink it? I went to the store and purchased alcohol. So I was it's a choice, not a disease. And I hate the word. That's going to be a whole nother argument. Now I am more, my body reacts when I do it. Now it's whether I put it in my system or not is on me, but it is a situation. So what do you say to that person that's blaming it on the alcohol because life screwed me again and gave me this gene or whatever you want to say that I react differently?
I don't know.
No, it's $1 billion question.
No, I mean, I can say that from a personal experience, that is my brother. My middle brother would say all of what you just said. He will not take ownership. He has been an alcoholic for 20 some years. And it is everybody else's fault. Everything else is why he can't stop drinking. And I wish I knew the magic words to say that I don't agree with that and miraculously have him stop drinking. But I don't know. I think for me, this has just been such a personal journey that I know what worked for me. I can't speak to how other people feel about it, unfortunately.
And this is, I know I'm going to tick some people off, but this is about discussions. But when I come in and I drank again and everyone says, and I'm ready, I'm feeling I got to do something about this. And I come into a room and everyone says, oh, it's okay. You're fine. You're fine. You're fine. I needed that person. It just happened to be my wife saying, I don't care what it is. I'm sorry that it is you've got to stop. It has to be put back on my shoulder. And sometimes, and I'm guilty of it too. Either one of you come in tomorrow, call me and say, I'll say, hey, welcome back. It's okay. Let's figure it out. Let's go forward. But I worry about the coddling. There's a little bit, no one wants to do it. It wants to say, Lindy, I don't care about you have to stop if you want this to end. This is not anyone else's. You're the one doing it. We will help you, but you have got to do this. You've got to take ownership of that. And I don't want to do that. I want to blame everyone else. It's what I've done my whole life.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I mean, I will agree that at a certain point, my sober date is September 28th, and I think it was January that I started AA. At a certain point, I did need a little more tough love. But I think what's hard is that I grew up with a lot of tough love, and there's a very fine line for me that kind of triggers. I always feel like when something goes wrong, it's my fault, no matter what it is, regardless of the situation. And I struggle deeply with insecurity and stuff like that. So I think that for me, the tough love, it's a fine line for me, because I can really quickly go down the rabbit hole of I'm doing this wrong. I'm failing. I fail at everything. Why don't I get these things right? So I think for me, it's there needs to be tough love, but I've also worked my butt off in sobriety, and I've done this for me, and I feel like I've had good days, I've had bad days, there has been, I mean, my sponsor is amazing, and she did have to do some tough love with me at times, but for the most part, I feel like I was giving myself my own tough love. I never really had somebody who told me, you need to stop. This has gotten really bad. I got myself to that point where I just decided on my own, but yeah, I have, I'm still, it's always a work in progress. And I feel like just when you think you've mastered it, a new emotional sobriety lesson comes into play. So I don't know if I just babbled. I probably just babbled. And didn't answer your question.
Babbling and cursing are fully acceptable here.
Well, good, because I wanted to say ass. I kept saying butt.
No, you're dead. Carrie already broke the ice by letting her expletives fly, and maybe that's why she's in the backseat of a cruiser right now. Carrie, were you able to pat yourself on the back during sobriety, or did you need others to do that? Can you now?
I think a monumental shift for me happened because when I first started, I needed other people to pat me on the back. Mm-hmm. I needed to share in a meeting and then spend all the time looking to see like who commented and who said that it was great. And there were a couple of times where I would share and not get a lot of feedback, and it would tear me up, and I'd be pissed, and I'd be like, I needed that validation from other people. And the shift, I actually stopped going to meetings for a while because I felt like, for me, it was making me think about alcohol more than I actually would have been thinking about alcohol without them. Mm-hmm. And so when I started dipping my toe back into them, I realized that I had needed that time away to really just focus on how I was feeling about my sobriety. And so to do it now, to share now, it's not about, I'm not doing it for people to reach out to me. I've found that I'm sharing only when I feel like something that I'm going to say is going to help somebody else. And so that is the shift of needing someone else to pat me on the back to now, I don't need that. I want to be helping other people who might need that pat on the back.
Is that just because you changed the goals of I'm in this for others first?
I think so. I mean, honestly, this just happened since I shared my story a couple of weeks ago, to where that is when all of a sudden I started feeling this need to be back in meetings and to be there to witness for other people the way that people witnessed for me. But it's been the way that it has changed my view of my sobriety has been huge for me, because I haven't wanted to drink for quite a while. The romantic images are still there, but to have put everything out there for people to see and not need validation back was a huge thing for me.
Lindy forced me into the patting myself, because I've commented so much and shared so much love when she's shared, and she won't put Jack up for that. So if you're looking for, self, feel good about yourself by what Lindy, expect Lindy, because
don't rely on Lindy.
Lindy is a one-way street, and and it points her direction only. I'll just say that. So.
Really?
What was and Lindy, you might have touched on this. What was the hardest thing about sobriety? Now, the one I hear the most, not to give you, I want to hear yours, but having to face our feelings is a common one. But what was for me, it was dealing with fear. I mean, I was an anxiety riddled, individual. But what was the hardest thing about sobriety for you?
I mean, definitely the anxiety and the fear. I think the hardest thing for me was having to learn how to be fully present. And
what do you mean? Just
fully present, meaning like I could not turn my mind off. I had to experience everything and feel everything. And I actually had to be attentive and couldn't just sit on the deck drinking all night and ignore, oh, it's bedtime for the kids. Oh, they can go to bed in an hour, that kind of thing. It was like I had to be completely responsible and be in my feelings and be present, and couldn't tag the alcohol and be like, all right, you take over, and so it's, that the balancing act of life as a mom of 5 is exhausting, and learning how to work through the exhaustion and not give up. So,
Carrie, did you, and you'd be the only one, of course, think that when you gave up alcohol, everything would be perfect?
Yeah, I did. I was wrong, but
what were the awakenings because I was always pissed. I was going, okay, now you want me to stop drinking. Well, now I'm having to face all the crap that made me want to drink, and you just took my drinking away, so I'm even more miserable.
Yeah. I think for me, it's what I found is that like the shitty feelings, look at me with my potty mouth. The shitty feelings are shittier. But what I find with being sober is when I would drink, they would last for hours. Because I would be so fixated on numbing it out that it was all I could think about as to why I was drinking and what was making me drink.
Linda, you want to finish that sentence for her? I think it was a word.
What was making me drink? I don't fix it.
Maybe one more. I'm not sure, but
I don't know.
But yeah, those are
no.
the.
Did you? Am I?
Yeah, start. You still are frozen, but we can hear you better. There, Lindy, you want to jump in as far as feeling those feelings again?
I'm gonna jump in with a little, like, I have to say that I'm distracted because all I can see is the bags under my eyes.
You know what? The chat has been lit up with people commenting about that.
Look at those bags.
Have you noticed? And can't you just do something about it? And is it possible to do Photoshop live? I was doing one the other day, and I just, these two lines right here. It was like, my God, they're like a half an inch deep. And once you start to, you see that,
You
it's
can't
over.
not see it. Yeah, I know. Yeah.
Well, I think people are more focusing on your female Barry White voice. I've got the that doctor,
right.
it's all good.
Yeah.
Stupid.
What? What's wrong?
Sorry.
You're back.
This is what happens when you're in the library parking lot. Apparently, you lose your internet.
That's okay. It's all good. So we're a no judgment zone. What are you two both doing now to get the Calgon moment as best as you can? So I guess that comes to the self-care. How are you? And here's the thing, is that how close is whatever you're doing to getting you back? Because I'm not fully where I dreamt and wanted to be in sobriety.
Mm-hmm.
We were talking before about Christmas, and Christmas was a day that still I look at, that was an all day drinking fest. And it was like a day where it was totally legal within the family to drink all day. And I do miss that. Mm-hmm. I don't miss all the other crap that comes with it. And I got to try to remind myself of that. But what do you two do? Carrie, you bailed on the conversation, so I'm going to make you talk first. What do you do for self-love right now? Or is it a reward situation, or is it a recharge of the batteries? What do you do for that now?
I will confess that I'm still really bad about self-care and taking the time for myself. I mean, I read, I do creative stuff, I hand letter. I find that I'm still trying to like squeeze it into the open areas where I have time. But I think part of it is just honoring how much time I have in a day, even though it's full. I'm present for all of it, and I try to really recognize what a gift I've given to myself just with that alone, that I'm, even if I can't do the massages and the bubble baths and the whatever else glamorous things that I think of when I think of self-care.
How do you see those gifts, though? Because I always hear people talking about writing a gratitude list and that kind of thing. And I think the fact that I didn't drink this weekend and I was around and was able to go see my daughter for dinner and do certain things. Maybe I'm not focusing on what unbelievable gifts those are that I had lost.
Yeah, I do gratitude.
Yeah, I gotta move you back over to the middle. You're driving me crazy there. Now we gotta go back to the angle. I'm in a small 4x4. Lindy's in an SUV, and Carrie's in the lowrider. She's down. We got the three cars.
I know. I noticed. I was like, I gotta get my head
okay. No.
up higher. I do gratitude lists almost every day. I hand letter them and post them on Instagram. And I would be lying if I said that almost every day I'm like, shit, I don't have enough stuff to put on a list. It doesn't come naturally to me.
The car started and you're looking for
that's
anything.
what I end up doing, is having to look like hot coffee, I guess I'll be thankful for today. I'm not a person who has consistently been able to find deeper meaning in the gratitude lists. So, but I do find that it's easier for me to pinpoint things that I know I would not have been present for before. And that's where I find those little hidden pockets of sober gold, is like I woke up at 5:45 every day of our vacation to go watch the sunrise over the ocean. that would not have ever happened. And so for those 5 days, I had easy gratitude lists. The
Right.
rest of the time, it was like, my kids won't stop fighting. How am I have kids. I guess that I have kids is my gratitude. I So
Yeah.
it is not a natural process for me to be like, things are wonderful and everything's great
Mhm.
now that I'm not drinking, because they're not.
Mhm.
And to expect them to be would just be leading me right back to a bottle. So
Mhm.
When you look at
it's
the
finding the little things.
Yeah.
yeah, they're easy. You don't realize them until they're taken away, and then you're like, oh man, I missed that moment. What I look at the holidays, and like I said about Christmas, there's things I'm going to miss. Holiday events, because I drank at those. I'm 57. Since I was 20, I drank at those. So there's a lot of memories, association, muscle memories, all that. Um, how do you deal with, because I can't forget, I can't eliminate alcohol from my memory. I can't go, I hate that stuff and I never ever want to. Those memories, all I got to do is open some picture, memory books or whatever, and you see all these things. Well, yeah, we were smiling and laughing. Oh my God, that was the time. Remember when so and so jumped off the snowbank and they landed on a, whatever, or, that there are good. How do you deal with the this is gonna suck not doing,
Mhm.
the things that I did for so long?
It's interesting because I've not really had any situations yet where I've felt like, oh no, this is really gonna suck. And part of that is in, the silver lining of the pandemic. We haven't been able to do as much. But I think part of the reason why I'm struggling a little bit with some of these, like, labels and different things like that lately is I'm going to have what I have known all along to be probably my biggest trigger yet, and that's Thanksgiving. And last year we didn't have it, because it wasn't safe. And
Not particulars and no names, but what is it
Mhm.
about Thanksgiving that's
It is a big gathering of my husband's whole family. There is been it's I love his family, but
I can tell.
it's chaos.
That's just, I mean, that's, so obvious.
It's chaos because we have all these kids together, and I'm, wearing the mom pants the whole time. And I have been left to deal with them very often while everybody else is drinking. And although I was a drinker, I was the responsible one who didn't get to have any fun. And we're stuck at this hotel. I've got my 5 kids in a room, or 4, because, Lucas, we didn't have him yet at that time. But it just became this horrible time of me feeling like I don't belong, like my place is just to be the mom and take care of the kids. And it's a huge trigger. And that's coming up, obviously, and we are doing it again. And I know that I don't want to drink. It's not about the drinking at this point. It's about, how do I get myself through this with emotional well-being? How do I find ways to make this okay for me and to watch out for myself? Because my husband loves me and he gets it, but it's not his job to make sure that he doesn't know, like, I'm the only person who can know how to take care of my well-being in this situation. And so I've been doing a lot of thinking, and I am, trying to, I think I'm going to get some fun games, like for my older kids and me to play when the little ones go to bed, and just try to find some fun things to do where I actually enjoy that time with my children and not look at it as a punishment that I'm the one that has to deal with them. Like, I think it's changing that mind frame of, no, it's these are memories I'm making with them that I can enjoy. I just need to find the ways to make it enjoyable. So I'm working on that. I'm working on that. I'm dreading it. I really do love his family, but it's just always been a difficult holiday. So
We have we have a game that is played, and I hate it. I mean, that is probably, and you just brought back. I just got this. I almost went for a cold one right now. Just bring that memory up. But it's the intentions are good. It's just, but my point, what I was going to say was my thing with this year is it's going to be much harder to live the same thing and not drink. The easier route for me is going to be to create a new thing, new scenarios. Like, and just when you said about, getting some games for the kids, instead of, okay, we're going to do the exact same thing that we did every year, and I'm going to try not to drink. Why don't we create new things that we can do? I mean, there's still some that, but new focus, new things to think about, anticipate, to get away, sneak away and play this game with the kids or whatever. Just anything, creating new scenarios are going to be easier to get through sober than rehashing the old ones and just trying not to drink with them. So I don't know. I mean, that's, so what else, how else, and obviously hint, the word is P and ends with lan, but how else are you going to get through it?
Well, okay. So I think another thing that's very important is that like I had mentioned earlier, I struggle with thinking, well, I don't want to be a burden on anybody ever. I just don't. And my husband and we've gotten really good at actually communicating, like good communicating this past year. And he does have my back. He really does. And because in the past, prior to getting sober, I would let everything fester and then I would just like snap, I would just go crazy Lindy with him. But now I've gotten so much better at talking to him right away calmly before I let something fester. And I realized, wow, he is really good at being a good listener and caring. And I think it's, I wasn't giving him enough credit either. So just being really open with him. And I have told him already, like, I'm nervous. I'm not looking forward to this, but I don't want to go into this with a bad attitude. I really don't. And I know that even though it's not his responsibility to make sure that I'm having fun or doing okay, he's still going to make it a priority to help however he can. So, that open communication and just being honest with the people that you're surrounded by, that you're close with, they can't know what's going on internally, what kind of storm there is going on. And if they truly love you, if they truly care about you, then they're going to help you through that if you're open and honest with them. So that's my goal. It's just
Carrie, do you have any events that you got lined up for the holidays?
Well, my husband also has a very large extended family that we spend lots and lots of time with.
Unbelievable.
And let me tell you, when I was drinking, they were like my favorite people to hang out with because boy, do they like to have a few cocktails.
Yes.
So, but this will be my second round of holidays for being alcohol free. And I think last year was tough. I remember Thanksgiving specifically, I was like, I had a TIV in my arm basically because I had to have something in my hand at all times because I wanted to pour myself a drink so badly. But, what I'm finding this year is that I'm actually able to have more plans that sound fun to me. So before I wouldn't plan anything for evenings. I wouldn't buy tickets to see shows. I wouldn't go do anything if it meant that I couldn't be drinking. And so this year, to buy tickets to take my girls to see a ballet, to go see a play, that is where I'm finding the ease with my sobriety, knowing that I still have these other family obligations, but every people are used to me not drinking at them now, so the offers of and the pushing of the alcohol on me is pretty much past at this point. So
my wife is she'll do the event, all the cooking, all the cleaning, all the decorating, and she doesn't have a situation with alcohol. She doesn't have a problem with it, so she can have a beer or a glass of wine to get a little bit of a little break, and that's where she can stop. She doesn't. So she's got a great tool that works for her, but there's a lot of, I think, with her, tons of pressure to do all of this. Now add in that you're a mom and your kids have to look nice. They've got to behave nice. They've got to be cleaned up. They've got to be, are they getting into trouble? You can go ahead and bash me like you do your husbands now, but I hid in front of the TV watching the game. But while she did all the work, that's well, Carrie, I'll use her term, a shitload. But no, that's a ton of pressure to put on yourself. And do you still do that? Are you delegating? I don't know if that's your situation or not.
I will say that I'm very fortunate in that my husband loves to cook. And so that stuff has never fallen on me. I was the person sitting and watching TV and having drinks because I had to watch the kids while they were doing it, but my kids are also, they would much rather just be left alone by me most of the time. So I think for me, it would almost have been easier if I was busy doing everything, because I would have been preoccupied with something else. But to have that empty space and an empty hand was very difficult for me last year. Well, who knows what it will be like this year. I'm hoping that it will be a smoother transition for me. But no, I think I'm more willing to help out with things. My husband is very confused by now my willingness to offer my help and assistance. But it definitely is a transition to, no matter whether you're the busy person or not, to have that missing piece that was always there.
The mom thing, just what you do is incredible. And I look at, thank God Elizabeth didn't have a problem with it. Did you need something, Lindy? You okay?
Yeah, no, I'm good. I can see where the bus comes. I'm just making sure that, yeah, we're good.
But because if the kids were doing something on the evening or whatever, I was checked out, and thank God, because I don't know, these a situation where both the parents are drinkers, how that's brutal, because I would be livid if I had, because if we're both passed out and there's a problem, someone's got to be awake to help the kids or whatever. And there were times where if there was, we need someone to take them, and then I'll take them, I don't want the late night shift, but I'll take them first so that I can get, that was, I look back, extremely unfair, to put it nicely, on my part. What I can understand now, I have, as a father, a ton of reasons why I needed to check out, but I hear some of what you have gone through, and it's like, my God, Calgon, there ain't no way that that's going to cut it. So we got to figure out how to cut it without the wine. And that comes down to the $1 million question. So I'll just close on that. Lindy, let's go ahead. All of America is waiting for this as the answer. It's going to cure alcoholism in America. How do we get the Calgon moment without wine or without booze?
You know, as a mom, I have learned that while my children are a top priority, I have to make myself a priority too. And however that looks, it might be just my husband might get home from work and it might be, you know what, it's been a tough day. I am going to go to Barnes and Noble, buy a book, something, or even just shut myself in this room. And for my whole life, I put myself on the back burner. And my problem with alcohol was the result of that. That was my way of trying to take care of myself. And now in sobriety, I've learned that I cannot put myself on the back burner. I need to take care of me. So whatever that looks like, I had to put the work into figuring out what will take care of me, what will help me the most to be the happiest and best Lindy, not just mom, but I mean, yes, mom, because that's 24/7, but Lindy, like I am Lindy. I'm not just mom, you know? So, and when I started to figure that out and find the things that helped me, then it poured over onto my children, and I became a much healthier, happier version of me, and happier, healthier mom for them. So,
Carrie, your thoughts, and we'll close out.
Yeah, I think the biggest thing for me has just been releasing expectations. For me, it was like,
Big.
especially around the holidays, it was everything had to be picture perfect, and there had to be these amazing moments that were going to be memories that they would have for the rest of their lives. And when they didn't turn out, that is something that I would drink at.
That's a whole nother, we got to go a whole nother hour on that one, but that's huge. It's a great point.
Yeah.
Because what do we expect with the holidays? We expect Hallmark moments. I mean, I was ticked here in the Midwest. We occasionally get snow. My day was ruined on Christmas. I wake up and there wasn't snow.
It's
it's like kind of expectation crushed right off the bat.
Yep.
You just destroyed the magical moment was just destroyed because there's no snow on the ground, which they're more interested in, what cereal do we have in the cupboard when they get up, than this. But, that's the expectation I put on making everything perfect.
Yep.
All right. Well, you guys, you're both incredible. Thank you so much. And we're going to keep on this holiday thing, but expectations. I love that, Carrie. That's a huge one of letting that go. Lindy, you were okay. But thank you for being here. You're both fantastic. So we will stay on, and we'll be back and keep going through this holiday and keep the smiles going. Thanks, everyone. All right.